Hi, I'm Donna-Marie from Relish Cooking Studio, and today I'm going to show you how to make a chutney. Now, a chutney is a lovely condiment that you can serve alongside any type of main dish. It's fantastic on a charcuterie or a cheese board. My personal favorite is to use it as a spread in a grilled cheese sandwich, but it is delicious as a little condiment alongside ham or turkey, and even dessert. So it is a wonderful little thing that you can kind of even give as a gift to somebody, take a jar of it to somebody's house. So today I'm going to show you how to put it together, how to even can it, but you can also just keep it in the refrigerator for up to a couple of months if you didn't want to go to that step. So let's get right to it. So if you are going to consider doing any sort of canning, there's a couple of tools that I would really recommend that you get. And we have a really nice 3-piece canning set, which makes it really simple. Of course, you'll need your little canning jars, which you can pick up at any hardware store. And then you can get a canning set. Just makes things a lot easier. And in this canning set comes a jar lifter, which basically allows you to be able to lift those jars right out of the hot water bath. You've got the funnel, which allows you to place that right on top of the canning jars so that you can fill your jars with your mixture and not go over more than you need to. So that's the lifter. And then my personal favorite, because I think that this is so handy, this is the little wand, and it allows you to lift up the canning lids out of the hot water bath to place them right onto your canning jars. So that's a few of the items that are really handy to have if you're going to do some canning. So to begin to make a chutney, you don't need a lot of ingredients, and you have a little bit of room to play with things if you wish. I'm doing a pear chutney today. My friend Anthony had some pears off of his tree, so he gave them to me, and this is the perfect season. But if you didn't want to do pears, you could do this with apples, you could do this with peaches. It's very interchangeable. This is a small batch, so I'm going to start with about 2 1/4 cups of fresh chopped pears. I have also peeled the pears and chopped them up. Not so fine, just a nice small chop because we're going to cook them down. I have some shallots. I have a generous full cup of chopped shallots, or just plain cooking onions works also. 3 cloves of finely chopped garlic, 1/2 cup of golden raisins. And the raisins, some people like them, some people don't. So if you don't like raisins, leave them out. You could also substitute currants in place of the raisins. So that's just an option. We have 1.5 cups of brown sugar, 1.5 tablespoons of salt, and I'm using kosher salt. And now some of my favorite spices. So I have 1/8 teaspoon of allspice, 1/8 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, about 1 tablespoon of fresh ginger, freshly chopped ginger, and then a couple of pieces, and this is my own addition because I love ginger, a couple pieces of finely chopped candied or crystallized ginger, and that's what I've got here. So those are the ingredients. Oh, and of course, the vinegar. For this portion, I'm going to be using 1.75 cups of cider vinegar. All right, so to begin, all of the ingredients go into the pot first. So I'm going to add my pears, my finely chopped pears. All right, I'm going to add my cup of fine shallots. I'm going to add my 3 cloves of finely chopped garlic, my 1/2 cup of raisins, my 1.5 tablespoons of salt, kosher salt, my vinegar, my 1.5 cups of brown sugar, my 2 pieces of chopped crystallized ginger, my tablespoon of fresh ginger, and then my 1/8 teaspoon of allspice, and my 1/8 teaspoon of cinnamon. All right, so all we need to do now is just bring this to a boil, and we are going to let that come to a nice full rolling boil, stirring it all together. And once it comes to a nice full rolling boil, we are going to turn it down and let it simmer for about 45 minutes in order for it to reduce and get thickened quite jammy-like in its consistency. My chutney has cooked down after 45 minutes. It's thickened up, it's quite jammy-like, and you'll see when I make a little road in the middle of it, that the juices practically stay separated. So that's really what we're looking for, that nice sort of jammy consistency. I have my jars that have been sterilized in the dishwasher. They're nice and clean and sterilized. I have my canning rings here, that's fine. And I have my little lids, my canning lids sitting here in a nice pot of boiling water. Now, my old-fashioned canner doesn't work on my induction stove anymore, so I do a little trick. I take the canning, some extra canning rings, and I put them right side up inside the bottom of the canner, so that when I put my jars into the boiling water bath, they won't sit directly on the bottom of the canner. And that's because they will crack and break if they sit directly on the bottom of the canner. I also have a ladle that I have sterilized. You just want to make sure that everything is clean and sterilized and ready to go. So now what I will do is I'm going to take my little jar, my funnel, and I'm going to begin by filling up my my jars with the hot chutney. All right, one jar. I think I'll do a small jar here for the, no, I probably can do a larger one. And I'll do the second jar and fill that one up with the mixture. And you just want to come to the top of the ring. You don't want to go beyond the top of the ring. So I don't have quite enough to can this one, so that's okay. I'm going to put the lid on that one, and I'm just going to be able to put that into my refrigerator and use it at a later date. But in the meantime, I'm going to can this one jar. So I'll take my wand, get my lid, place it on the top of my jar, and take my ring and screw that on. Not super tight. I don't need to put it on super tight. It will tighten up a bit later when we take it out. All right, I'm going to take my jar now and put it into my canner and place it inside and make sure that it is completely covered with water. Okay, my timer's gone off. It's been 10 minutes. So I'm going to lift out my jar of chutney. I'm going to place it on a damp tea towel. And I heard a little pop. That means that the suction has sealed and the jar is now going to just cool down, and it's going to get a complete seal on it, and you can keep it now for up to a year in a cupboard or in your cold cellar. So you can serve this out on a delicious cheese board. I've got one here, and let's just have a little taste and make sure that our chutney is perfect. And that's how you make a chutney.